It is time once again to try to figure out who is the best wrestler in WWE today. Last video, Io Sky narrowly beat out Cody Rhodes to join Rhea Ripley, Liv Morgan, CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and Finn Balor in the finals. This video, we're going to be adding one more person into the finals. How we do that? We have a spinner wheel full of everyone's name in WWE. We give that a spin. We do a blind ranking 1 through 10, 1 being the best, 10 being the worst, and we try not to screw it up. But ultimately, we end up screwing up, putting someone real bad, real high, or awesome, really, really low. So at the end, we do go through and make some modifications and some tweaks to figure out who is truly the best wrestler out of that random list of 10. So far, we've gotten really, really great wrestlers in each video to go through the finals. Let's see who is going to join them in this video. If you like, please go down in the comments and tell me that you do. Subscribe, leave a like, go back and watch the past videos in this series if you haven't already seen them. But with all that being said, I am Isaiah from Hot Tag Wrestling, and let's go ahead and get into it by spinning that wheel. All right, we have our wheel. Still 60 names left on the wheel. A lot of big, big hitters still on there. We got Asuka, Bayley, Becky Lynch, Gunther, Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn, Stephanie Vaquer. A lot of great people still on the list. But let's go ahead and see who our first entry on this blind ranking is going to be. Somewhere in the J's, starting with one of the names I just mentioned, Kevin Owens. Now, here's the question that we have to ask. Kevin Owens is a number one spot. But as we saw last video, we put Io Sky at number one, and then right after rolled Cody Rhodes at number two. That happened to be correct. But do we just put Kevin Owens straight at one? There are some people on this list who I'd probably still put above them, but I feel that Kevin's going right to number one. One of the best going today. Absolutely awful that he's out with injury right now, but whatever aspect of the game you are looking at, he can nail it. He is a five-tool player. Incredible promos. Some of the best character work in WWE. Maybe you put him up there with Roman and Drew, and maybe like that's probably it, actually. That is like the upper echelon of character work. And then he goes in the ring and has great matches all the time. So he's an easy number one pick for me. There's not many people in the company who you could realistically say are better than Kevin Owens. Hopefully, we don't get one on the remainder of this list. We're going to Becky next, another name that I mentioned at the top. I'm okay with Becky coming after Kevin because I do not feel Becky is as good as Kevin. I feel that Becky is as good as Kevin Owens at cutting promos and at character work. She's probably someone I should have mentioned when I was discussing best character work, especially what we've seen from her this year as the heel Intercontinental Champion, feuding with Lyra and Bayley, and most recently joining up with Seth. The reason I don't feel she's as good as Kevin and won't rank as highly is because she is very, very hit or miss in the ring for me. Her matches with Lyra largely great, except at their final at SummerSlam. And she really, really presented herself well in that match. But then you watch her match with Nikki Bella at Clash in Paris. Bad, really, really bad. I've seen Becky Lynch have some bad matches, and they're bad because she puts in a bad performance. And that's not necessarily to discredit her and say that she's a bad wrestler. It's just sometimes I think her offense can look weak and her selling can be over the top and cartoonish. I just don't love everything that she does. So now the question is, do we put her where do we put her? She's within the top four for sure. I wouldn't even say top four. She's within the top three for sure. Um, but since she doesn't hit every time, I don't know if I'm going to put her at two. I think I'm going to put Becky Lynch at three for now. Just because she doesn't always hit in the ring for me. And I know that's different from the opinion most people would have of her. Most people would probably be bigger fans of her work than I am. But yeah, she just doesn't get done for me all the time. Roman coming in at three. This is a stack list already. This is big already. Kevin, Becky, then Roman. What do we do with Roman Reigns? Initially, you would think he would be right to the top. I don't necessarily think so. Mainly because he's a part-timer. And that just doesn't really do it for me. When you compare it to someone like Kevin or Becky, who is there 100% of the time, giving a great performance every week, really investing themselves into storylines, and you compare them to Roman, Roman can do a lot more when he's there. He can cut incredible promos. He can bring a star aura to a match like no one else in the company can. But he is just not there enough for me to really consider him to be the best wrestler in WWE. Just because he's not around enough to really consistently prove himself like some other wrestlers. Having said that, though, when he does show up, he really cements himself in that conversation. He normally has fantastic matches. His character work, his promos are all fantastic. Like when he is on screen, there is not a flaw in Roman's game. Do I put him above Becky? I'm honestly not upset that Kevin is above him, but I don't know if I can put him below Becky because, oh man, I'm going to put him at number 2. I'm going to put Roman at number 2 just because I feel like I can't really put him at 4. Um, I don't know when it comes to the end of the video, will I put him above Becky? Will I put them on the same level? I'm not sure. But for right now, I'm going to put him at number 2 because when he comes, he does have that star aura. And like when he's on screen, he is one of the best wrestlers. He's just not on screen enough for my liking. Um, but he does carry that star aura with him. And he has, like I said, the great matches, the great promos, the great feuds, great character work, whatever you could want out of Roman Reigns, he has it. And one of the reasons I rank him so highly, even though I spent a large portion of his entry discussing how much I don't like the fact that he's a part timer, is that when he comes back, he is a genuine star like so few other people are. I think he's got more star aura than John Cena, than Cody Rhodes, than The Rock. Roman is just a different beast, and he should be ranked highly as a result of that. Jey Uso. This list is going crazy. I got 1 through 3 filled already. Where does Jey Uso go? It's tough for me because I am really a guy who, more than anything in his wrestling, loves his work rate. Even in this period of New Japan's history when it's a real downtime for the company, I still think it's my favorite promotion on earth just because they value work rate over anything else. That's why I love a lot of Japanese wrestling. That's why I love a lot of independent wrestling. So when I love and value those things in wrestling and I watch Jey Uso, I don't get that sort of satisfaction from him because when he steps into the ring, more often than not, he doesn't really have it. And he does have those special connections with certain wrestlers. Braun Breaker springs to mind, but more often than not, his work is sloppy and disjointed. Having said that, he has formed an incredible relationship with the crowd. And when you watch WWE specifically, you're watching not just great wrestling, you're watching star presentation. That's why Roman is one of the best in WWE because he has this star aura with him. And I don't know if Jey Uso necessarily has that, but when he comes out to the ring, I should say he doesn't have it on the same level as Roman, but when he comes out to the ring, the whole arena explodes like they do for no one else, maybe other than Rhea Ripley in the company. And that does carry some weight when you are watching this product, when you are watching WWE that is about the big moments, the big presentation, the pop and circumstance and spectacular of everything. That does carry a lot of weight even if he can't necessarily back it up in the ring like certain other people can. So I'm going to put him at 4. Mainly because that's the spot I have open. If this was earlier in the video, I might have even put him a little bit higher than that. But but his connection with the crowd and what he has been able to do from a character perspective has elevated Jey Uso so much in my mind and in the minds of the general WWE fandom. So I think 4 is an appropriate spot, especially looking at the list we have with Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, and Becky Lynch. Now I'm worried because we have our first 4 spots filled, 4 genuine contenders for people who you could push on to the finals and put in the conversation of best wrestlers in WWE right now. So if we keep stacking these up, like if we were to get Seth Rollins for a next entry, for example, um, really tough because then some people who could be in the discussion for best wrestler and who could move on to the finals are going to get left out because this list is becoming so stacked. So let's hope we start to see some mid to lower card talent who aren't necessarily in that tier of the people we already have. And we're getting Tamatonga next. Sorry, that was so white. Tamatonga, not Tamatonga. Tamatonga. Um, where does Tamatonga go? Realistically, he's probably at a 5 or 6 position. But sort of when you're making this list, you have to weigh them against the other people you have on there. So he might be a little bit lower than that. Tama is always one of those guys who's right on the precipice of being great, but never really gets there in my mind. And maybe I am holding a little bit of stigma from his time in New Japan, where he was always a really good wrestler. But when he was in there with the likes of, he was in there at the time of Omega and Okada and Pika Naito, Pita Bushi, Tanahashi when he was still at his best. You just he never really was to their level. And then he came into WWE and he was sort of just thrown into this losers stable in the MFTs. So I don't think Tamatonga, I said it again. I'm so white. I don't think he's ever really gotten the opportunity to show what he can do in WWE yet. Because what we have seen from him is some of his character work when he got into this sort of goofy, maniacal character, chattering at the screen, becoming this sort of psycho in the ring. Really entertaining. And it's sort of exciting to see what he'll be able to do in the future. But from a booking perspective, he has not been given a lot of opportunities to have great matches. He's been put in a loser stable. He's not been given really a lot of agency to really thrive in the WWE environment. I'm going to put him at number 7, not because I feel like he belongs there on a normal list, but 1, because this list is so stacked, and 2, because I don't feel he has properly been utilized in WWE up to this point. So I'm going to put him at number 7. More wrestlers like Tamatonga we need for this list because it's getting a little bit stacked. Big Doc, Angelo Dawkins. I like Angelo Dawkins a lot. I think that when people think of the Street Profits, they automatically think of Tez. And that's sort of where their minds go to. Because he is a little bit more charismatic and a little bit more of your traditional athlete. But I think Doc really has done a lot to elevate himself from the Marty Jannetty position where he could have gotten left behind in this tag team. But he has displayed some incredible physicality in his matches, becoming this real powerhouse while also having this incredible agility and this high flying ability, and really doing a lot to sort of elevate himself in the personality department as well, which can be hard when you're next to someone as charismatic as Montez Ford. But Angelo Dawkins, I would say more than really loving him, I respect him because it would have been so easy for him to get lost in the shuffle, especially as a tag team on SmackDown and as someone who a lot of people view as the second best member of his tag team. His ability to continuously show himself to be great in the face of adversity, really admirable, really something that's difficult to do. I feel if the Street Profits ever split up if Dawkins is booked right, he could be a really, really strong singles wrestler. I'm going to put him above Tama Tonga. I'm going to put him at 6. And once again, mainly that's because I respect a lot of the things that he has done to not fall into that Marty Jannetty role. So let's talk about Zoe Starks next. Zoe has, if you watch a Zoe Starks match and it is, let's say, 10 minutes long, there are flashes of genuine excellence in there from her. Really hard hitting stuff. She has a great missile drop kick. Like really, really great physicality at some points, but I've never really seen her string it together in a way that draws me in or makes me believe her to be a killer, like, Shayna Baszler in NXT, for example. I've never gotten that out of her. And I don't know if she's ever necessarily been given the opportunity to properly display that on screen, but it's hard to say that because I have seen her have singles matches. I've seen her in Money in the Bank. I've seen her in tag matches. And though there are those flashes of brilliance, there are also a lot of clunkiness and mistiming, sloppiness, just not a lot of confidence necessarily from what I see from her. So I feel like if she is given the reps and she's working the house shows and then given her opportunities to shine on TV, she could really be something great. But for right now, I'm going to put her at number 9. Little sparks of greatness that don't necessarily ignite a flame of anything, that I'm necessarily excited to see. I was really, really, really hoping we didn't get Lyra in this video because I really like Lyra and I would want to see her pushed on to the finals, but she just can't really stack up against the competition in this video. She's going at number 5 because she is great. I love Lyra. Lyra for me is sort of, how can I explain this? She's sort of like in the teenage stage of her career. And what I mean by that is she's not, in the infancy of her career where she's just learning. She's a very accomplished pro wrestler. She can go out there and have a great match and not be carried to a great match by Becky Lynch or Bayley. She can go out and have great matches with most of the people she's put into the ring with, but it doesn't feel like she has this ring general persona. She doesn't have this confidence when she's on the mic. She is still a little bit shaky because she's only in the first part of her WWE career, at least on the main roster. And you can sort of feel that nervousness and that trepidation sometimes when she's on screen. And as a result, you do get this fondness for her where you want to see her succeed, but you can't necessarily get wrapped up in her like you can a Roman Reigns or a Kevin Owens, where everything they do, you're 100% bought in, so invested in them because they live and breathe their characters. Lyra isn't quite there yet, but she is on the cusp of getting there. So I said at the beginning, I'm upset she came up in this video because I thought she could have gone to the finals. It's probably actually better that she didn't because really, I love her. And I think that one day she will be one of the greats, but I don't think she is there yet. I don't think she can really match up to that top tier of talent. 5 is a really low place for her to be because she is really great. But just with some of the talent on this list, that's sort of where she had to fall. 8 and 10 left. Hopefully we don't get some. Oh, crap. Ilya Dragunov. I saw it going towards Gunther, and I got really nervous for a sec because I didn't want Gunther to be on this list, and I got relieved when it didn't go to him, and then it went to Ilya, and I instantly got sad again because Ilya, incredible. I mean, I'm gonna put him at number 8 just because that's the way the list is falling out. Ilya's fantastic. He's so good. And he's done something that I'm really impressed by that I feel like a lot of people coming up from the independent scene or from NXT have trouble with, and that is transcribing a style that made them renowned in whatever area they were working in and transcribing that to a main roster WWE format. That's why Gunther is so successful, because he took that style he had on the indies and, OTT and XWX and PWG, brought it to NXT UK, leveled that up, and then came to the main roster and changed it to incorporate elements of that, but have a more main roster style. Ilya Dragunov also did that. Really made a big name for himself in NXT UK with matches against Gunther, at the time Walter, but then also continued into NXT, became NXT champion. Great matches with whoever he was in there with, really. Great matches against Trick, Braun Breaker, Carmelo Hayes. Really great stuff from him. He's just a guy who can go in there and have a great match with literally anyone. One detraction I will put on him is he is a little cartoonish, and he is a little over the top sometimes with his tough guy mannerisms and his like firing up spots and his frothing at the mouth. That's a little bit too much sometimes, but if he could sort of moderate that a little bit, I mean, top tier talent in the company. 4-4-4-4, sure. But he's got to go at number 8 right now just because that's the way the blind ranking works. Let's get someone, you know what, Fallon Henley, I'm okay with that, putting her at 10, especially with the list that we have. Fallon Henley would not normally be 10 on a list, but with the kind of talent that we have on this list, I think that's around 10 is an appropriate spot for her. Very much someone who is still finding her footing in the wrestling business. I don't know how long she has been wrestling or how long she's been in NXT. But yeah, she's still someone who you could very much see learning the ropes a little bit. And though she is very fun to watch, I can't necessarily say I've ever seen anything great out of her. So number 10 is appropriate for her. All right, that's our list of 10. Let's see who we're going to move around. This is going to be the toughest list I've done so far, just because of the level of talent on this list. So we have Fallon Henley at 10, Zoe Starks at 9. I'm happy with them staying there. Like I said, Fallon just not really that experienced at this point. Can't really live up to a lot of other competition that we have on this list or on this wheel. So I'm okay with her there. Zoe Starks, flashes of greatness, nothing really connecting in the ring. Ilya's moving up for sure. I'm going to move Tama Tonga down to 8 and Angelo Dawkins down to 6. Angelo Dawkins down to 7. And I'll move Ilya Dragunov up to 6. So that's where we're looking right now. Then we would have Ilya at 6, Lyra at 5, Jay at 4, Becky 3, Roman 2, Kevin 1. That's not a list I'm happy with. We are going to make some more modifications there. Let's start with Lyra, Jay, and Ilya. I don't love that order. I'm going to switch Ilya Dragunov and Jey Uso. So I'm going to have Jey Uso at 6, Lyra at 5, Ilya Dragunov at 4. And the reason I do that is because, one, I've seen Ilya Dragunov have some absolutely incredible matches. His 2 matches with Gunther are some of the best matches I've seen in my entire life. Hands down, 5-star matches. But more so than that, he's one of those guys who can go out on Raw, and there's not many people I can honestly say this about, but he can have a great match every night of the week. I like to apply those monikers to people like, Finn and Penta and Braun Breaker and Sammy even, but it's not really true. They can have very entertaining matches that gets the crowd into it and has a couple cool spots. But in terms of really having a great match, Ilya is one of the only people in the company who can do that on a weekly basis. And that kind of talent needs to be recognized. So he's above the other 2 as a result. And for Lyra Valkyria, it's really more of a personal taste thing for me. I like Lyra more than I do Jey Uso. And it might be because I am seeing Lyra come to her own on the main roster, so I feel that sort of emotional connection of seeing her develop and seeing her become a world champion in front of me. And I don't necessarily have that with Jey Uso. Maybe because I've already been on that journey with him. And now I'm just seeing that happen with Lyra. But I personally prefer watching Lyra over Jey Uso. So Jey at 6, Lyra at 5, Ilya at 8. Or sorry, not at 8, at 4. Then we have our top 3. Those are our top 3. Becky, Roman, and Kevin are our top 3 for the video. But what order do they go in? I'll say Becky Lynch at 3. I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. Like I said, Becky Lynch can be the best when she's on the mic. When she's in the ring, very hit or miss for me. So as that for that reason, number 3, because Roman and Kevin can not only get it done on the mic, but also get it done in the ring 100% of the time. It's just a little bit more consistent from them, and that's why they're going ahead. So who do I put ahead, Roman or Kevin? What are the advantages that both guys bring? Well, Roman, like I said, has that star energy, that aura that comes with him from the ring that you can only get from being pushed as the top guy for as long as he has. And part of the reason that he does have the aura he does, I understand, is that he is not around every single week, so you can't get used to him. He can't be part of the furniture. But that is also a detraction, in my opinion, from really calling him the best, because he chooses to take so much time off. And Kevin right now is out with an injury, so I'm not going to apply that same criticism to him, because if given opportunities, he would still be in WWE on a regular basis. He'd be there every week. And what we saw at the beginning of this year in his feud with Cody Rhodes was the best. It was the best thing on WWE TV at the time. And if you then look at Roman's feud with Punk and Seth, that is something that is entirely elevated by star power, but was not necessarily the best program or the most interesting program on TV at the time. And what Roman does nowadays more than anything is show up, get a big pop because he hasn't been around in a month or two, start beef with someone, have a match at pay-per-view, go away for another couple of months. You don't get that consistent character development like you do when Kevin Owens is on the screen. I'm gonna put Kevin Owens at number 1 and Roman Reigns at number 2. I am gonna keep that order. I feel like that is fair, because I feel like though Kevin doesn't have the star power Roman does, I feel that Kevin Owens is a better wrestler than Roman Reigns in the ring. Kevin can have a flat out better match than Roman Reigns can, and I also feel that over the course of his career, and just looking in the past year, I've been more invested in Kevin Owens as a character than I have Roman Reigns. I feel like the obvious choice is Roman, because he is presented as a bigger star and he has that star aura. But if you look at the actual quality of their work, I feel that Kevin Owens supersedes Roman Reigns, and for that matter, supersedes everyone else on this list. And when you were looking at Becky Lynch, Roman Reigns, Jey Uso, Ilya Dragunov, Lyra Valkyria, that really speaks volumes to how great Kevin Owens is, because he is so easily able to push himself above all that other talent based solely on how much effort he puts into everything he does, both in his matches and in his character work. So yeah, Kevin Owens going on to the final. I'm very, very happy with that. He is an early top contender for the best wrestler in WWE. And when I say that, it may be hard to envision him going over Roman Reigns, who's not in the finals, Cody Rhodes, who's not in the finals, and even some other people like EO or Punk or Rhea that are in the finals. And I'm not saying he's going to go above them necessarily, but if you are to just look at what Kevin Owens does with the material that he's given, with the booking that he is given, no one else can really do what he can do. No one else can be consistently great coming up from NXT in 2017 through 2019, one of the worst booked eras of WWE history, going through a pandemic, coming out the other side to a change of regime with Triple H where he is not the primary focus. The primary focus is Roman and Cody and Sammy. And all the way up till now, consistently produce greatness. When there's always something more important. There's always something getting the focus. There's always something to make sure Kevin Owens is not the primary focus of the company. He puts himself into that conversation because he is just so aggressively great at everything he does. So I'm very happy putting Kevin Owens over Roman Reigns and all the other people we have on this list. Tough competition in this one. Kevin Owens moves on past Roman Reigns, past Becky Lynch, past Lyra and Jay and Ilya, all people who really had a chance to go to the finals on any other list. But in this video, Kevin Owens is the champ. He's taken on Rhea and Liv and Punk and Drew and Io and Finn and LA Knight in the finals. We'll see how he does when we get to that final video. Let me know down in the comments if I should have pushed someone above Kevin Owens, if Roman or Becky should have superseded them, or even if there was someone else on the list who you think should have gone above. Let me know down in the comments below. While you're there, subscribe, leave a like, all that fancy stuff. That really, really does help a new channel like mine to succeed. Couple more videos coming out in this series. There's still 50 wrestlers on the list, I think, so we're doing another 5 videos before we get to the final rankings in the final video, so keep your eyes open for that. With all that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I have been Isaiah from Hot Tag Wrestling, and I will see you next time.